Say again, here we sit.
Like birds in the wilderness.
Better than standing.
Huh?
Better than standing.
We gotta get rid of those mops. We no longer have homeless.
You see, like
I
birds in the wilderness waiting to be fed.
We're standing on the promises over here.
Yeah, it looks
Our
like you're
premises.
All right, everybody, good morning.
Morning.
Computer issues. Had to get Anthony, but we got it started, so. Good to see you all today. Let's have a word of prayer, and we will begin our lesson. Father, we thank you, Lord, for this opportunity to gather around your word. We thank you, Lord, for the scriptures. They're a lamp to our feet and a light to our path. Lord, you've given us everything we need to know, Father, for knowing you and receiving your Son as our Lord and Savior, of walking through this life, Lord, in a way that's pleasing to you. And you've also given us a lot of information, Lord, about the ages to come. And so, Lord, as we talk about your return and the setting up of your kingdom, and Lord, what that means for us, I pray that you would give us wisdom to understand and apply it to our lives, Lord. May it impact us so that we're aware every day that we're going to stand before you and give an account. We thank you, Lord, for this time together. Bless us. In Christ's name we pray. Amen. Okay, so somebody forgot to text me about printing this, but that's okay.
You remembered, I'm sorry.
Matthew and Ashley stayed with us last night, and so talking with them, I kind of remembered.
Well, you weren't here last night. I was going to tell you last night.
Okay.
I forgot,
Okay.
so I'm sorry.
I'll take the blame.
Thank you.
Yeah.
No.
I forgot to text her.
Yeah, you
That's
did,
all
so
right.
enough blame to go around.
Hey, we got it done.
Do you have the air on?
So,
Rick, do you have the air on? I'm never hot, but it's warm in here.
I don't know what it is.
I'm comfortable. Oh,
Let me
I
just
just thought I'd chime that in.
Oh,
It doesn't
okay.
mean anything.
No, but
am
it's, you're all comfortable. All of a sudden, it's like.
It's
oh,
85.
See? 85.
I'm comfortable.
80 would be better.
No, you take your blouse off. I found out who else we needed.
I keep my house at 80 all the time.
Hey, I come here to get the air conditioner because I don't want to run it at home.
There you go.
Anybody else?
All right, so let me ask you this. There was a lot of questions last week about the end time events, and so that's why I printed off this Bible chart that I put together we had a long time ago. So is there any more questions about this before we move on, about the events and what's coming up and when, as far as I understand it from the scriptures?
So when we go up in the trip, where are we?
In the rapture? I believe when we go up in the rapture, we are going to heaven.
Okay.
So we are going to heaven to be with the Lord and all those that are there already ahead of us. So in the rapture, we will be transformed. We will not die. Wonderful. But we will be transformed in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, I think in 1 Corinthians 15. And we will there be with the Lord in our glorified bodies.
We'll be glorified then.
And
Okay.
those who have died before us, the Lord will raise their bodies and transform them into glorified bodies and give them back to the people that are in heaven who have passed away. And then I believe the judgment seat of Christ. Yes, sir.
The scripture says that we'll have a body like Jesus. Is that correct?
Yes.
Will we have nail holes in our legs?
I don't think so.
No, we will have a glorified body as Jesus had a glorified body.
Well, his was glorified and he could walk through walls, but he still had the imprints.
That's true. He still had the nail prints in his hands and his feet, but we won't have them because we never had them. I think it's just saying that we will have a body, a glorified body,
So
as his body was
it's really
glorified.
not like Christ then.
It will be like Christ.
Well, if it doesn't have the holes in it, it won't be like Christ.
It doesn't say it will
But
be identical.
it doesn't say anything about from the time that he ascended into heaven whether he was.
We're all going to look like, we're all
We
going to
didn't
look like
suffer
we
like
now.
Christ did.
It's
So.
just-
So are we underneath
think
the
you're just
altar with the rest
agitating
of the
today.
saints?
I don't think so.
Those,
Those
what
are
saints are,
martyrs.
oh, those are martyrs.
I believe
Right, that's
those,
right.
yeah, the
Right, yeah.
picture seems to be those
Those
are
are
people
martyrs.
who were martyred
Crying out, how long, Lord?
Tribulation.
during the tribulation.
Oh,
Okay.
during the trip.
Yeah.
And so where are we? We're still in the heaven.
Yeah, we'll be there.
Okay.
Yeah. Back to this discussion about Jesus' body.
He's smiling.
Okay. because apparently he does come through the wall or the door where the apostles are. Was he able to do that because he is God? Or was he able to do that because that's what you can do with a glorified body? I tend to think that it's probably because he is deity. Because why then, if we can just walk through anything like the New Jerusalem, why would it have walls and gates? Why would we have to go through a gate if we could just go through a wall? So I tend to think that he did that because he's God, and that glorified bodies don't, but am I totally sure? No.
Does it really say that he walked through the wall, or did he just show up?
Well, I think he just showed up.
Yeah.
I don't think it said he walked through the wall, but it does say that they were in this room and the door was shut and locked, I
And he
believe.
just showed
Right.
up.
And so he came in, however he came in. So I don't think we'll be like that,
Beat
because
me
we're
down,
not gonna
beat
be.
me down, Scotty.
Yeah,
Yep.
so,
Well, like I say, it doesn't say when he ascended into heaven the final time, okay, whether his body was healed then. So we don't know if
I don't think he's gonna lose those wounds.
I don't know.
I don't think so, because we see a picture of him in the book of Revelation. He's in heaven, and the way that John says it is he was as a lamb that was slain. And I believe there are Old Testament references that when he returns, they will see the nail prints and, the wounds that he has, and realize then that it was Jesus that, they had rejected. So, but it's kind of like, all of us. I mean, I have a body similar to our brother right here, but he has a lot more hair than I have. So he has things that I don't have, I have a body similar to her, but she doesn't have a beard. And
Well,
so,
the scripture doesn't say similar to, it's just like.
what's the word like mean?
Similar to?
Yeah. So I don't think you can go so far to say that we will have wounds, You ever heard the word stigmata? That there are people today who claim that they have, these wounds appear in their hands and their sides. I don't think we're going to have wounds, but I think we will have a glorified body as his was a glorified.
Will it be a spiritual body or a physical
I
body?
think it'll be a physical body. I think it will be a physical body, but it will have,
Well, we're gonna come back and live on earth. And
Yeah.
be spread out.
The new heaven and the new earth.
yeah, but it will be a perfect body, a glorified body that can exist forever and will never get ill, never die, never get sick. So it'll be a perfect body that Adam would have had he eaten from the tree of life, I think. So, does that answer your question?
I have one more question. Oh, I'm sorry. Are you finished? You're never finished, though. He's always got questions. When are we judged at the judgment seat of Christ during that 7
Yes,
years? Is it at the beginning, the end, or when because it's separate from the great white throne, because those are for sinners.
Yeah, the great white throne judgment is after the millennial kingdom,
Right.
after the battle of Armageddon, after the recreation of the heavens and the
New
earth.
heavens and earth.
And so I think that's the great white throne judgment. And by the way, we were talking last week about the verse where it says, it's appointed unto man once to die, and after that judgment. Well, we do know, because included in that statement would be saved people and lost people. And we do know that lost people are not judged until the great white throne judgment after the millennial kingdom. So I think in that verse, I think there's a present judgment of heaven or hell, but I think it would also include judgment because we're all going to judgment. Lost people are going to the great white throne judgment, and believers are going to the judgment seat of Christ.
So it's not during that 7-year
It
tribulation?
is. If you see in the notes, during the millennial kingdom, there's judgment of the nations. Do I have it?
The judgment seat of Christ taking place. You got it at the top there. The judgment seat of Christ taking place in heaven during the tribulation period on earth.
Okay, so the tribulation period will go from the rapture, 7 years, until the Lord's return in Revelation 19 with the armies of heaven. Hang on a minute. To the armies, So it will last 7 years. So I believe that the judgment seat of Christ will be occurring during that 7-year period in heaven. How quickly does it start once the rapture occurs? I don't know. How long does it take? I don't know. But I think it occurs during that time period when the tribulation is occurring on the earth.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
You know, when we come back down to earth during the millennium, we had to have had that judgment seat of Christ. We had to have had the giving out of the rewards. We had to have been determined what place we were going to have in the new regime for 1,000 years on earth. So it had to happen all before Christ returned to earth to begin the 1,000 years.
Yeah, I agree. Because when the Lord comes back to set up his 1,000-year reign at the end of the tribulation period, we come back with him and we are prepared to reign with him. And so I think you're right. I think we will go through the judgment seat of Christ and we will be told our inheritance, our reward. We will come back then, and for instance, if he says to one, you're gonna reign over 10 cities. All right, so you'll be prepared to reign over those 10 cities when he comes back at the end of the tribulation. So it's another reason I think it occurs during the tribulation time. Yes.
And what about the people that are saved during the tribulation? Because they're gonna go to the judgment seat and not the great white throne.
Well, that is always a question. Are they rewarded too?
Yeah, good job.
Are they rewarded too, and do they get to reign not in the millennial kingdom, but the eternal ages? Or is the judgment seat of Christ peculiar to the church?
Well, they become part of that if they're saved.
Well, I don't know for sure. I don't know when, and the truth is, how about Christians that are killed at the end of the tribulation? So, but the Lord will work all that out.
We'll find out.
Well, those that are saved during the tribulation, don't they stay when Satan returns and he tempts?
That's during the millennial.
Yeah, she's talking about people who die during the tribulation, correct?
Or who are saved during the tribulation. Maybe they're martyred, maybe they survive it, but,
Right.
they're saved during the tribulation.
Well, if they survive it, they won't be going to any kind of judgment seat of Christ. They will then live in the millennial kingdom.
So
If-
they don't face that until the end of the millennium.
if they indeed are rewarded. So people who get saved in the tribulation and survive it, that's the judgment of the nations. Remember in Matthew 25 where Jesus returns and gathers all the people that live through the tribulation, and he will separate them into two groups, those who are saved and those who are lost. The lost he will throw into hell. The saved will repopulate the earth during the millennial kingdom. Okay? So they will live here, they'll get married, they'll have children, who will have children, repopulate the planet. So the question is, are they then judged? I don't know for sure about them.
Probably not until the end of the tribulation.
Well, and that may be true, because when we go into the eternal ages, the new heaven and the new earth, will they be rewarded to serve there? I suspect they will, but when will their judgment take place? So, doesn't give us all the details we want. But, I mean, certainly we have questions about who, what, when, and where.
Well, didn't he say during that final judgment at the end of the tribulation, end of the millennium, that he separates, well, no, that's different. At the end of the tribulation, he separates the goats and the sheep at that point in time. That may be where they get.
We don't know.
You're right, we just
We
don't
don't know. Yes,
We
sir.
just don't know.
I don't understand, because he makes it so clear the people that aren't saved are gonna go to hell, etc.
Correct.
Why does he make this major concept so hard and he didn't clarify it? Is there any reason, except this guy, he do what he wants to, but it seems seems like this is so important, and yet he makes it so vague.
Well, some of it I don't think is vague. It's just a few questions.
Yeah, a few.
Yeah, that we don't know about these people. You know, about the people of, you know, the tribulation,
Yeah.
and the people who live through the tribulation who are saved. Are they rewarded? That's the question. And maybe there's something in the scriptures I'm not aware of.
Well, I'm sure if it's there, you know where it is.
So I haven't run across that in my studies.
But how could they have been rewarded when they're through such chaoticness for these 7 years and they gotta be hiding? What rewards could they have done other than help others to come to the
Well,
Lord?
somebody's got to be spreading the gospel
Yeah,
during the tribulation.
The
So there will be people getting
the
saved
hundred
because
forty-four
others
thousand, right.
are giving out the gospel during that time.
Mm-hmm,
And so we don't have all the finite details of this,
right.
but the Lord knows exactly when they'll be judged. And maybe it will be at the end of the tribulation because there is, I think in the book of Daniel, there's like when the Lord returns, there's kind of like a little time period after that. Maybe that's when all those people will be judged who lived through it, who were killed during it. But the Lord knows exactly when and where He will reward them.
Have you ever heard of the expression "need to know"? I think God's told us what we need to know, and I don't know that all of these details that we debate over are, they're interesting and they're up for debate, but God knows what He's doing.
Yeah, I mean, what we need to know is, first of all, you need to trust Christ as your Lord and Savior, or you're going to
Amen.
die and go to hell.
Amen.
Second of all, you need to know the rapture is going to occur, and the tribulation will then begin, and we will go to heaven. We will be in our glorified bodies, and I believe that's when we will be at the judgment seat of Christ. That's what we need to know,
Right.
okay? Because we're not going to be these people who go through the tribulation, or who, whether they survive it or not, that's not going to be us. And so the Lord knows about them and when He will deal with them and reward them. But for us, we can know what applies to us. That's a good point. Anything else? All right, back to our parable.
Sorry about that, sorry about that.
That's okay. No, we're in no hurry. If the rapture occurs, then we'll know a lot more than we know now.
I wanna know though.
There'll be a few more empty seats here.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so we have been looking at this parable in Luke chapter 19 that Jesus tells, again, because the disciples thought He was going to establish His kingdom on earth right at that time as they're walking to Jerusalem. It's the last week of Jesus' life. So He tells them this parable to let them know, no, I'm not going to set up my kingdom now, but I will set it up. I'm going to go away, and I'll be gone a while, long while. And when I come again, I will set up my kingdom. And what I want you to do is King James says, I want you to occupy while I'm gone. Other translations say, I want you to do business while I'm gone with everything I've equipped you with in your life since the time you got saved. All the time I've given you, all the abilities I've given you, spiritual gift I've given you, money I've given you, use that to promote my kingdom. And when I come, I will call you into account as these people in this story. We've looked at the guys who did well, and one guy was rewarded because he took the 1 mina and he multiplied into 10 more, and he was rewarded with 10 cities to rule for that king in the story. Another one took that mina, and which was about 3 months' wages, he multiplied it into 5, and the king said, you did a good job, you can rule over 5 cities. And now the Lord in the story tells about the one who did nothing. He did nothing for that king. And he tells us why. So let's look on page 5 at the rebuke, verses 20 through 24. And this is, remember, he passed it out to 10 servants, but he's only calling, in the story, he's only talking to 3 of them. It says, and another came, saying, Lord, behold, here is thy pound, or here is thy mina, which I have kept laid up in a napkin. For I feared thee, because thou art an austere man, thou takest up that thou layest not down, and reapest that thou didst not sow. And he saith unto him, Out of thine own mouth will I judge thee, thou wicked servant. Thou knewest that I was an austere man, taking up that I laid not down, and reaping that I did not sow. Wherefore then gavest not thou my money into the bank, that at my coming I might have required mine own with usury? And he said unto them that stood by, Take from him the pound, and give it to him that hath 10 pounds. So in the parable, scholars teach that readers should take notice of several things to correctly interpret the meaning and emphasis of a parable. So when you're reading your Bible and you're reading through the Gospels and Jesus is teaching parables, how do we determine the meaning of that parable? Scholars would say that a parable only has one meaning, okay? He is making one point. And you can't go too far in using all the things in the story. But in this story, it's interesting because one of the things that scholars say interpreting parables is notice what is talked about most in the parable. Well, one of the interesting things is how much Jesus talks about this guy compared to the two other guys. So I just counted the words. Jesus, in talking about the two guys, he used 60 words to describe two guys, what they did, and their reward. But this one single guy who did nothing, he talks about him twice as much plus. He used 127 words. So it must be that Jesus wants us to really pay attention to this guy. Okay? So we need to pay attention to this guy. It doesn't mean you can just forget the other two, of course. We got to pay attention also to them. But really notice, we might put the word behold before this guy. Okay? This servant must have been pretty nervous when the king returned, especially when he heard the reports and rewards of the faithful servants before him. So you can imagine, if you put this into real life, and the king comes again, and the first guy is called, and he said, Hey, I took this mina, and I multiplied it into 10. And the guy's sitting there thinking, uh-oh, I didn't do anything like that. Wonder if anybody else did what I did. And so the second guy is called, and he multiplied in 5. And the guy said, oh, man, I'm going to be in trouble. So if you've ever been like that, in school, I can think back like to high school, when time to turn in your homework, and I didn't do my homework. Or, time for a quiz. Oh, I didn't study for the quiz. And you're wondering, did anybody else not do their homework? Did anybody else not study? And so I just wonder what this guy is thinking. Well, he's going to tell us. This servant must have been pretty nervous when the king returned, when he hears what's going on. In fact, in this the story, he does use the word behold. He wants his Lord to see that he hasn't lost the mina, I think. Whenever you see the word behold, it's really a word of emphasis. What would this guy have to emphasize? What would he have so important that he wanted the new king to see? And I guess it must be, look, here it is. I didn't lose it. I didn't spend it. I still got it. So in his mind, it's like, Lord, I'm not going to be able to say what these other two guys said, but look, I still got it. And is that what that king wants to hear? Of course not. He tells the king he didn't invest in mina because he feared him. He states that he believes the king is an austere man. It's interesting because the word austere, do you know what transliteration is? The Bible doesn't translate this word. It's the Greek word brought into English. Well, how does that help us? Well, austere means someone who is harsh, severe, strict, somebody that you don't want to run afoul of.
Scrooge.
Pardon?
Scrooge.
Yeah, somebody, when he comes back, he's going to demand, he's not going to just take this for an answer. He went on to say that the king was a man that took up what he did not lay down. And it's interesting because in the Greek language, what he's saying is, you put money in the bank and you take money out of the bank that you didn't really earn. In a sense that you didn't make anything, you didn't grow anything. Well, investors do that all the time, right? They put money in the stock market, and if the stock goes up and they want their money, they take it out. What did they do other than just investing? And that's the language here. And this guy, this is how illogical his thinking is. In essence, he's saying, you're the kind of guy who puts money in the bank and you reap a profit. isn't that good business? He's criticizing him for being a good businessman? It seems that the servant did not really know the king. He also mentions that you reap what you did not sow. Well, that went on all the time, and it still does. There are people, or even businesses, that buy farms or vineyards who are wealthy, and they don't go out and work the fields or the vineyards. They hire servants to go out and do it. But they're the ones who make the profit off of it. They buy property, they hire somebody to go out to till the ground and plant the seed, weed it and water it, and then harvest it. He takes the money, pays these servants, and pockets the profit. Good business, right? So this is what this guy is. I know that you're a hard man. I know that you're the kind of guy that you put money in the bank and you reap a profit from it. You're the kind of guy who buys a field and you hire servants to plant it and reap it, and you make the profit from it. I mean, if I was the guy, I would say, what's your point here? He said, I knew that you were a hard man, and this is what you do. Yeah, you're right. This is what I do. It seems the servant didn't really know this king, or really his excuses are pretty puny. The other servants did not seem to fear him. The king was extremely generous in dealing with these other servants. Oh my goodness, you took 1 mina, and you were very wise and shrewd, and you invested into the 10 minas. So now you have, instead of 3 months' wages, you have 30 months' wages. That's pretty good. The king could have said, okay, I'm going to give you 10% of the profit. But he didn't. How generous was he? You're going to help me rule the kingdom. You're going to rule over 10 cities. And you think about 10 major cities, and so in my mind that's like, a state or a province. Wow. So the king is really very generous in his reward to the other one who made 5. He gives 5 cities, another state, a little smaller. One might be Florida, one might be Rhode Island. But you're still going to rule with me. And so he's very generous. And people deposit their principal, where over time it accrues interest all the time. And so this guy just doesn't really seem to know this guy, and his excuses are really flimsy. This guy is just a good businessman. Had this man taken that mina, you think about it. If he had taken the mina and invested it and made 1 more mina, what do you think he would have gotten as a reward?
One city.
Rule over a city. Rule over New York. Or whatever it may be, the largest city that, I'm just using New York as a large city, not as a good city to reign. You got a lot of work to do there.
Who'd want to rule over New York?
You don't want that city.
The new New York in the Millennial Kingdom.
Okay,
The
maybe.
new New York. All right. So I'm just saying, he's generous, he's a wise businessman. What's your problem? You're an austere man. I was afraid of you because you're a good businessman. And because you're generous? The king must have been incredulous. I think if you make this into real life, his mouth must have dropped. Yeah, you're right. That's what I'm like. He responded to the servant with his own words. Out of your own mouth will I judge you, you wicked servant. Thou knewest that I was an austere man, taking up that I did not lay down, and reaping that I did not sow. This one servant, he invested and made 10. I didn't do that, he did. But I gave him the mina to start with. Same with the 5, and same with you. You knew I expected to reap a profit from you. That's why I gave you the mina, just like the other servants. The king continued by rebuking the man. That he could have at least done was give it to the moneylenders and let it draw interest, but he didn't even do that. He said, the least you could have done is given to the moneylenders. When I came back, you could have said, here's your mina, and here's your 3% interest compounded over a year. But you didn't even do that. You could have given me a mina and a quarter, in return. Then the king did something that surprised everyone. And he sent unto them that stood by, take from him the mina, or the pound, and give it to him that has 10 pounds. So now the guy who had 10 has how many? 11. So let's say, okay, he had 10 cities. How many cities will he have now? 11. His kingdom just grew, right? His reward grew, and now his kingdom to rule for this new king is bigger than it was. What rejoicing there was in the hearts of those who received the reward, right? Don't you agree? Wow. I get to be the governor over a state. You know, just think, I get to be a governor over the state of Florida. Pretty good state. New Florida. You know, I get to rule New Florida for the Lord. And the other one, I get to rule New whatever, you know, for the Lord. And rejoicing in the hearts of those who were rewarded. But how do you think this last guy felt? And he's not going to be alone. I was so stupid.
He's going to get to work in the fields.
I was so unwise. Yeah, what does he get? He doesn't get the rewards the other ones do. So as we think about the reproval, okay, because this whole thing is talking about what? The millennial kingdom and Christ's rule and us ruling with him. And that's how it will work. Those who are faithful will be given much to rule. Some a lot, some a little less, a little less, a little less, down to people like this third person who lost what he did have. Now, I personally believe that every believer will have some kind of reward. We all do something for Christ. Every believer does. We worship him, we maybe give a little money, you know, whatever we do, you know, at some time in our life we've done something. So I think there'll be some kind of reward for every Christian, but it could have been so much more. I know Anthony on Tuesday, is he going through the life of Samson?
Yes.
Him and I talked about that briefly on Sunday, and I preached through those chapters because the last series of sermons that I preached back in Indiana before we came here was the book of Judges, and I preached through Samson, and I look at the life of Samson and think, what a waste! What a waste! This man had almost unlimited potential. He was strong enough. He could have wiped out the Philistines by himself when the Holy Spirit rushed upon him and gave him the power to kill a lion with his bare hands, to kill 1,000 Philistines. I tried to lay that out because I had to write lessons for when I worked for Word of Life, which is like Kids for Truth and Wednesday Night Club. 1 year I was assigned writing 4 lessons on the life of Samson. And so when Samson fought those 1,000 Philistines, I'm trying to make it so that elementary age kids have some sense of what that must have been like. Okay? He killed 1,000 other soldiers. How long did that take? Well, I kind of how long would it take you to kill 1,000 guys? You know? Okay, here's one here, boom, you hit him, he's dead. Then you got bodies stacking up, and you're trying to get to other people, and maybe you even got some guys who's starting to run, you got to chase them down. And I just told the kids, you know, if, let's say that you go to school in the morning, okay, that's when this battle starts. And when you come home from school in the afternoon, it's probably just ending. It's gone on a long time, because it takes a while to catch and kill that many guys. What a battle! And he could have just went on in the power of the Holy Spirit throughout the whole land of Palestine, where so much trouble to Israel is occurring today, but he didn't. He didn't. What a waste. And so there are going to be people with such potential serving the Lord that God, let's say there's somebody, and I know somebody like this, I believe God gave them the gift of teaching, but they hardly ever used it. They never were a main teacher in a class. They sat in a class for children, and they just, you know, because we needed 2 people in that class, they just sat there and they really didn't do anything. What potential? They could have been a teacher, but they, my knowledge, never were. They're going to give an account for that. They could have had great reward for using their spiritual gift of teaching, but they lost it. So their reward's going to be taken away. So as we look on page 6 under the reproval, it says, and they said unto him, Lord, He had 10 pounds, and you gave him another one? Why would you give it to him? And Jesus goes on to say, now this is the end of the parable. For I say unto you, that in every one which hath shall be given, and from him that hath not, even that he hath shall be taken away from him. Okay, so now we think about this parable, and we apply it to the millennial kingdom and the judgment seat of Christ, and people will be called by name who are saved, and we'll see some, you can imagine the Apostle Paul. Don't you think he will receive a full reward?
Oh, yeah.
I think he will. I think he'll be one of the apostles ruling over Israel.
But I got a question about the ruling part.
Okay?
Okay, if we're in the heaven where everything, or on the new earth where everything is perfect, what does somebody need to rule over a city for?
Well, it's not perfect in the sense, the people that live through the tribulation, okay, and they go in and repopulate the earth. They get married, they have children. These are still sinners. They don't have glorified bodies. We come back from heaven in glorified bodies to rule over them. But they're all still just like us in physical bodies, that the Lord lifts most of the curse. He doesn't lift it all because there's still death, but he lifts like the curse upon the animal kingdom. There'll be no more wild animals. They'll all be tamed. Satan will be Satan will be chained in the bottomless pit, and I think all the demons with him, so they won't be out there stirring up trouble. But these people who are living on the earth will be human just like us, and they're still sinners.
I think what happens when Satan is finally released, he finds an awful lot of people to create an army
Yeah.
who don't like Jesus.
Yeah. So when these people repopulate the earth, and I think the Lord will bless these marriages, and they will have lots of kids very quickly, and it will repopulate the planet. 1,000 years later, as he's saying, the devil comes out, and he gets a lot of people to follow him in this army against the Lord. So, but these people are still sinners. They still need rulers. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. So, but we will be in our glorified bodies. But again, when I say the Lord lifts the curse, they can all live 1,000 years. Those people who come through the tribulation period and repopulate the planet, they can live 1,000 years now, just like people just about did back, in the days of Methuselah, who lived 969 years. He's the oldest one that we know of. There could have been people older than him, just not recorded. We don't know. So, but they will live here. We will help them rebuild the planet, rebuild cities and nations, and the Lord will bless. And so that's why they'll need cities and towns and fields and farms and animals to cultivate, and orchards and all kinds of things. So people were astounded in the story when Jesus said, take the mina from that guy. He loses what he even had, and give it to the guy who was the most faithful. Okay? So that's important, I think. This seems to end the parable. Jesus then teaches them about the coming reality of the judgment seat of Christ. That's what it's really been talking about the whole time. It's certainly true that the Lord Jesus, who knows all things because he's omniscient being, knows the abilities, spiritual gifts, and opportunities in the life of each and every one of us. Agree? Jesus as judge at the judgment seat of Christ, he will know you and me perfectly. He will know what spiritual gift or gifts he gave us when we got saved. He will know how much money he gave us throughout our lifetime. He will know how long we lived after we got saved. He will know every opportunity that we had to witness to others, whether we did it or not. He will know every opportunity that we had to love our neighbor as we loved ourselves, whether we did it or not. He will know every opportunity we had to come to church and worship him, to encourage others. He will know everything about you and me. So he will not only know what we did, he'll know what we didn't do. So he will know all of our opportunities. In knowing all these things about us, he also knows the rewards that he would plan to give to each believer. So I'll take myself. He knows me inside and out and perfectly. I got saved in October 1965. I was 11 years old. And just this last Sunday, I had my birthday, I turned 71. So I've been a Christian 60 years. And so in that time, the Lord knows what spiritual gift He gave me. I personally think He's given me the gift of teaching, which I've tried to use. I was thinking yesterday, I've been teaching the Bible in a formal setting in a church for 21 years. Since I was 21, 50 years now. So I believe that I have used that spiritual gift. Whether there were other opportunities that I didn't take, I don't know, but He knows. He knows how much money He's given me in that time period. From when I was a kid, shoveling snow back in Indiana, when I would shovel somebody's porches and sidewalks for a quarter, and still had a hard time people wanting to pay that quarter, because that was a lot of money back then. And the most I ever made in one day was 75 cents. But I kept at it, mowing grass for $1. And so, working at U.S. Steel, and He knows how much money I've had in my lifetime as a Christian. He knows every opportunity that I had to be a witness to somebody. And so in knowing that, I believe the Lord knows ahead of time the gift I could have had. Would you agree with that?
Mm-hmm.
Because He knows everything about me. He knows every opportunity. And so if I did not live up to it, if I squandered opportunities, if I was selfish with my money, I would lose. My reward started out like this. And because I did not live up to the opportunities He gave me, the Lord would know this was what He planned. It shrinks, okay? And so the rest of that, okay, in this He's going to give me 50 cities, okay? But because I was not as faithful as I should have been, it now shrinks down to 25. Where do those other 10 cities go? Well, I think they will now be given to a person who was, like the Apostle Paul, faithful and received the full reward. And their kingdom will expand, mine will contract. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what's going to happen. A believer can therefore lose part of their reward, and other believers can gain even more rewards. Because that's the point He's making with this story. Everyone which hath shall be given, and from him that hath not, even that he hath shall be taken away from him. I think that's a big point in this story. Excuse me. And so that's why we're warned in 1 Corinthians chapter 3, some will suffer loss because they were not faithful. And all the Lord gave them the privileges to serve Him. And others can gain what they lost. And so you think about here, and let's just use the states, okay? Somebody gains New Florida. And another believer, the Lord was going to give them, what borders Florida? Georgia. New Georgia, okay? But they were not faithful. So now New Georgia, half of it is taken away and given to Florida. So Florida expands. I think that's the way it's going to work. I think that's what Jesus is saying. So I tried to build an example here on page 6. And as an example, there's a Christian named Julius. Was a very faithful servant for the Lord all of the time on earth, from the time he was saved until he died. He got saved, let's say, at 15, and he lived to be 80. And he was a fervent servant for the Lord, faithful in every way. He never was a pastor. He was never a missionary, but he faithfully came and worshiped the Lord. He taught Sunday school. He was a deacon in the church. Where there was an opportunity, he stepped in to serve. Or it could have been a woman. And the same thing. She served in every way that she could. Jesus knows, so at the judgment seat of Christ, He's given the privilege of ruling over a new nation in the millennial kingdom. This brings great honor and respect from the people that He rules over. He's also given a beautiful estate. The question is, where's He going to live? Where are we going to live? Are we going to just not have a home? I think we will. I think we will be rewarded with an estate, beautiful estates, for us to live in. And this guy, because he is now the president of a new nation in the millennial kingdom, is going to live perhaps in a palace and have a great property around him, beautiful in every way, lakes and trees, animals, and so, and he's also given wonderful things in life. It's a fantastic reward that this faithful man is given. To further our example, here's a guy named Francis. He was just a mediocre Christian and was thus not very faithful in his service for the Lord. Let's say he also got saved at 15 and he also lived to be 80. He didn't go to church faithfully. He was given the gift of teaching, but he never taught. He did a few little things in the church. He didn't do much for the Lord. Okay? He did witness at times, maybe, his family, his neighbors, here and there. But he just, you'd look at his life and you'd see he wasn't fervent for the Lord. Okay? So is the Lord going to reward him the same as this other guy? The Bible says no. So the Lord knows his potential. He could have received the same reward as Julius, ruling over a new nation as a president of that new country with a great estate and great honor as he rules over these people. But because he was mediocre, everything shrinks. Yeah, he gets a place, but it's not, he gets an estate, but it's not as big as Julius. He gets a nation, but it's a much smaller. Maybe it's not even a nation now. Maybe he's just, mayor of a town, when he could have been the president of a nation. But he lost it. And what he lost is given to Julius, who now it expands his kingdom to be even bigger. It was taken from him and given to him somebody else who was more faithful. Because the Bible says, every man shall be made manifest, at the bottom page 6, for the day shall declare it, because it shall be revealed by fire. And the fire shall try every man's work of what sort it is. If any man's work abide, which he hath built thereupon, he shall receive a reward. If any man's work shall be burned, he shall suffer loss. But he himself shall be saved, yet so as by fire. Some people will be greatly rewarded. Some people will lose what they would have been rewarded with. And what they lost will be given to those who were more faithful to expand theirs. So does that help? Sure. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Whether you think I'm right or not, does it make sense? So I just, believe me, I was praying, Lord, how can I use an illustration to make this clear? And I really prayed, God, do I have this right? I think I do, as I studied this. And those are going to be our rewards. It's called our inheritance. And we will rule. So how do we bring inheritance into ruling? And I know the question is, because I've had people say, I don't want to be a ruler. And I read one time the number one fear in the world is standing in front of people and having to talk. Okay? I understand that. But you got to understand, you will be completely different. You will be glorified. And you will have no shyness, you will have no fear at all, and you will be glad, and you will enjoy. It's not like, in the millennial kingdom, hey, you get to rule over 10 kings. I don't want to rule, Lord. I don't want, it's not going to be like Moses, And the Lord, can you send somebody else? I'm not a good speaker, I got the speech impediment, I can't do it. We won't be like that at all. We will be thankful, proud, in a sense. We'll be privileged, and we will do it because we will be completely different. So you don't have to worry about that. I know somebody in school that, they're given a part in a play, and they don't want it. You have to speak, and I said, well, maybe you could be a tree. Maybe you could ask to just be a tree. I have to say, you just stand there. No, they don't even want to do that. They don't want to be up front. Some people enjoy it. Some people don't. But in the millennial kingdom, we all will. So I hope you get that in your mind. It's nothing to be afraid about or fearful about. The Lord will change you, make you perfect, you will be glad to do it. You may be sad that you didn't have more to do because you lost the reward if you're not faithful. So, I want to make sure before we move on, you got any questions on this?
The same
Yes.
premise is true in business. If you wanna get something done, you give it to the busiest person.
You're right.
Because they're gonna get it done. And so this is an easy concept to grasp, because that's the reality here and now.
It's the reality here and now. And the same thing is the Bible uses the analogy of sowing and reaping. You know, you're going to reap what you sow. A farmer can't go out there and plow his fields and put down one kernel of corn and expect, in the fall, he's going to get this field, no. At best, he's going to get one stalk that comes up. And so you're absolutely right. And the biblical principle is, he who is faithful in little is faithful in much. This is little. That will be much. And so you're right. It's a good point. That, that's what the Lord is applying. And so what kind of reward are we expecting? Depends on how faithful you are today. Yes, sir.
Just listening to you, I was thinking of two different individuals that I had a chance to minister to when I was working. One shared a cubicle with me, and he was living with a lady that he was not married to, and he had a couple of little girls, but I kept witnessing to him and telling him that he needed to get married, and needed to do this, needed to do that. After he left the company and everything, I got a call from him. He says, Dwayne, I just wanted you to know that I married the lady, and I'm taking her and my girls to church.
Praise the Lord.
Then I had another lady that I led to the Lord, and later on I came back and, suggested that I help her find a church to attend. She says, what do I need to do that? I accepted the Lord. What else do I need to do?
Yeah. I mean, we all meet people like this, isn't it obvious that some Christians love the Lord more than others?
Mm-hmm.
And shouldn't it be obvious the Lord's going to reward them more?
Sure.
It's biblical. And I think I personally am persuaded this is how it's going to work. I tried to paint a picture of how, in a practical sense, how will this look in the millennial kingdom? And so the Lord, because the Bible talks about receiving a full reward. Now, only the Lord knows what that full reward would have been. But now, instead of a full reward, you get half, or you get a third, or a quarter, or an eighth.
It's still better than none.
You're absolutely right. It's better than no reward, but still what you could have had, had we been more faithful. I mean, I've had people say, if I go to heaven, that's enough. I don't think it will be when the time comes. Yes,
Jesus was speaking to the disciples, is that correct?
yes.
So he was basically giving them a pep talk.
He was letting them know, because the whole point was, in Luke 19, they thought he was going to set up his kingdom now.
And he's telling them that they needed to promote the kingdom of God.
And he's telling them, no, I'm not setting it up now. I'm going away. And while I'm away, you labor in this present kingdom. But I'm coming back, and I will reward you for what you do. That's what he's telling them.
So one of the disciples, such as Judas, betrayed him.
That's true.
We could almost say that he was the one that did not use what he had.
Well, next week, I don't think that this person who didn't invest in me, I think Judas was lost. I think this is a saved man.
Oh, okay.
And I'll tell you why next week, because the last thing we're going to do is there's another parable in Matthew 25, very similar to this, but the ending is really different. And I think Judas fits into that next parable as a lost person who was parading himself as a Christian. And there are people like that. I think this guy was saved. He just loses his reward. Because it doesn't say that he's going to be thrown. The next parable, the third guy will be thrown into outer darkness. It doesn't say that about this guy.
So this man that did not please his master, and his master calls him, even though he's saved, he calls him a wicked servant.
He does.
God looks at those of us that are lazy and don't promote the kingdom of God as a wicked servant?
Well, I think the word is wicked. I mean, it's just the word evil. Can we be evil? Was David evil when he committed adultery and murder?
Sure.
That's evil. So, I mean, whatever word you want to use, are we sinners? Absolutely. Do we sin? Is that evil in the sight? I think it is. I know there's another, and I know people that use that. Believe me, there are people I greatly respect who think this is a lost man. I don't think so. I think in the next parable we're going to see there are people in the church that are not truly saved. But I think there are people in the church that are not really serving who are truly saved. And I think it's in 1 Corinthians chapter 5. There was a man that Paul brought to the attention of the Corinthians. He said, you have a man in your congregation who is committing adultery, living with his father's wife. They don't think it was his mother, but maybe his stepmother. Okay? And he said, you know, this is wicked. And he calls him a wicked man. But then they go on to discipline this guy, and scholars believe in 2 Corinthians he repents. So I think he was a saved man who was sinning. So I think some people use that to say, because in the story he's called wicked, it can't be saved. I don't think that's true. So that's where I think this guy's saved. But we'll compare them next week with other people that claim to be Christians but are not. So, and that's in the second parable, similar to this one.
So stay tuned.
Pardon?
I said, so stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Same time, same channel.
But we should never be complacent.
No.
Just because we say the sinner's prayer and we profess to be a Christian, we have work to do. You have to share the love of Christ. You have to share who Christ is. Why are you who you are? And you just have to work.
Yeah. We are saved to work for the Lord.
Right.
You know, we all know, we all pretty know Ephesians 2, 8 and 9. For by grace are you saved through faith, and not of yourselves, is a gift of God, and not of works, lest any man should boast. But verse 10 goes on to say that we are his workmanship, created unto good works. We're not saved by works,
No.
but we are saved to work. We're saved to occupy till he comes. Do business till he comes. Remember that part in the story? Do business till I come. We're here to do business for him till he comes.
I often tell people the short version. I say, we are not saved by works, but we are to be saved to work.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why he doesn't, when we get saved, he could have just taken us to heaven.
Right.
But he left us here. Why?
To work.
To bring glory to him, to turn others to him. For a variety of reasons, but to serve him. So next week we'll finish this. We'll look at that similar parable, and I really want to point out the last two guys in each one, and what I believe about them, and we'll go from there. So anything else today? Father, thank you for this time. Lord, thank you for revealing to us your future. We wouldn't know about the judgment seat of Christ if you had not revealed it to us. Help us to be faithful. Help us to be prepared. Help us, Lord, to receive a full reward, because that's what you want for us. Help us to live these things